5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Weekend confirmed.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Weekend confirmed question of the week. My name is Garnett Lee. Glad to have you join us. If you want your question read on this show, or in this, or whatever the heck you call this thing, get it to us on Twitter at Weekend Confirmed, or get it to us on our Facebook page. Today's comes from Weekend Confirmed superstar Improbable J. He's always in the Shack News threads for the show. Says, will we ever see a return of FMV and or text-heavy storytelling like the old RPG, or is it all gone with tech-driven drive? Well, I tell you what, Improbable J, I think that the text game obviously is all gone. Do you really want to sit down and play Zork? I mean, it's fun for nostalgia and all. And again, probably same thing with FMVs, because we've gotten to the point now where game engines look so good that we don't really need to switch to FMV. If anything, it really points out that uncanny valley now that's starting to develop so uncanny valley is this situation between real world and rendered world, where you notice the difference the closer you get to real world. We're starting to have a sort of uncanny valley between full motion video and the real engine, because the engine gets closer and closer to full motion video. Then when you switch to those pre-rendered scenes, it starts to become hard to discern the difference between the two, and it points out the differences. So we don't really want to do that. I think that the other point I want to bring in here is QTEs. I was talking to Ryan about this before the show, and the QTEs are the next thing that needs to go away. I'm playing Battlefield 3 single player, for instance, the other night, and I get to this scene where I'm going down an elevator shaft, and I'm rappelling, and every time my feet hit the wall, it wants me to press A again to repel the next stage. This is pointless. It's absolutely stupid. It makes no further interaction than me watching the transition. So really what's going to happen, I think, with RPGs is what you've already seen is a better incorporation of the story and narrative elements into the game mechanic where it fits, and an acceptance of, hey, we're running the engine, let's do storytelling in engine. This is what Mass Effect did really well. Mass Effect, smooth, seamless transitions into those narrative pieces, allowed you to interact where it made sense to interact through the narrative piece, through choosing dialogue options, which makes a hell of a lot more sense than pressing A or pressing X or pulling both triggers or some other nonsense that might give you a little bit of involvement. I asked Ryan about this. If you liked Heavy Rain, then you might see a space for that sort of game. If you didn't like Heavy Rain, then why are we fooling around with these QTEs? And now, personally, I loved Heavy Rain, and I think there's a great opportunity to build on those games as a adventure narrative-driven game. But I don't know that necessarily meshes well with action games or with role-playing games. I think that each of them have developed their own language of how they work. So Mass Effect, great example of how role-playing games can continue to move forward in incorporating story and narrative and choices for me, so I'm interacting and still playing a game. QTE is a bad example of what's going on in action games trying to mimic that interactivity while telling a story. They need to just let go, tell the story where they want to, use their great game engines, they look fantastic already, and tell me the story part they want to tell me, and let me play when I want to play. Hope you enjoyed that answer to the question. Check out more in the show. We'll be on 11 a.m. Friday, as always. That's Pacific time. That would be, about 7 o'clock in the evening if you're on Greenwich Mean Time over there in cheery old London. Thanks for joining us. Until next week, we're Ghost.
Tonight.